on. All right, we got some people in here. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. Every SJW soy boy is a fucking sex pest. And I told you that from the very start. I've always explained this to you. You guys can always count on me to explain reality to you. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Beautiful Saturday morning. We got a big party happening today at the Van Skyver joint. You would be invited if you live nearby. But none of you live nearby, right? The house is going to be filled. It's going to be filled with people. Praise the sun, says Angry Baneling. Welcome to the show. Star Tiger, Zoomed, 1975, Livens Flame, Diane M. All of you, mwah. This is a fantastic, fantastic day. Promises to be. Ask yourself, how can I help you be happy today? Ask yourself that question. Say, what is it? What is it that's going on inside of me that I need to be cheerful and happy today so I can give myself that one thing and make myself be a joy to the world outside? That is the question. That is the question. Now, I am here to do my best to make you feel that special kind of happiness. That special kind of happiness that one feels when one is proven right. Proven right. Now, let us begin. Let us begin this treacherous tale. I'm just going to cut right to it today. Andrea goes, how long are you going to be live? I'm like, I don't know. I got to tell this story. I shouldn't be too long. She's like, you got to go out and get ice. You got to get the tent up in the backyard. You got to do all this stuff. You know, you got to make sure that we're ready. We're ready for guests today. I said, I know, sweetheart. I promise it won't take me long to eviscerate 3 or 4 soy boys that I can't stand. And I promise you, you can listen to me upstairs. I don't know what, set off one of those air horns at me when it's time for me to get off the air. I appreciate it. Billy Sidness is here with the Human Sunbeam. Thank you for that. Thank you to everybody who's joined the channel. Definitely appreciate you guys. I see your green names. I recognize you. You stand out amongst everyone else. You stand out amongst your peers. You have no peers except each other. And I appreciate that. Those of you who click that join, who commit to giving this channel $4.99 per month, of which I receive like $3 per month, which helps me to put up videos, taking apart weirdos, and still remain the profit-generating machine that you all have come to expect from Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Star Tiger says, go for the head. Okay. All right, where do we begin with this? Let's start talking about it, and we'll take it apart bit by bit. I just want to point out a few things, and together we will make sense of all of this. Let's go to Twitter. Let's talk about Jai Nitz. The guy's name is it's like this close to vagina. His name is Jai Nitz. Why didn't more people realize this? My name is Jai Nitz. It is? How many people called him Vaginitz growing up? Most of the time, you can connect deep psychological problems to things as simple as what a person's name is. New member. Hey, thank you, Anjem Berry, for joining the channel. God bless you. All right, so Jai Nitz is basically a writer. He created some irrelevant character who is in the Suicide Squad. That's his claim to fame. The other thing that he did was create another sex panic within the SJW community when women came forward saying that he was, I don't know, grabby, handsy, all of these things. He worked at a university. Was it a university or just a college? A little professor on the college. He used his position to get smooches and ass pats, at all the young ladies. And a few of them came forward. And then some crazy account came forward of him meeting, this might not be true, meeting some woman at a bar through some dating app and taking her home in his car, taking her out in the woods. And basically, this story sounded like it was going to be something out of some serial killer documentary on Netflix, which I think I've watched all of. I think I've seen all of those documentaries. But that's what it sounded like. I'm not sure that it's true compared to everything else, but it was interesting. Now, I was going through this story with you guys. I was saying, hey, guys, see this? This is interesting. The Jai Nitz stuff is interesting, but I want you to pay close attention to how everyone else around him behaves. SJWs are all sex pests. All of them do this. All of their behavior, all of their kind of holier than thou nonsense is all it's a shield. It's a disguise. It's a force. It's a invisibility cloak. It's like the invisibility cloak from Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. They use it to hide their own sex pestilence behavior. Hatch 450 SX says EVS this morning, UFC tonight. Awesome day so far. What more do you need? What more do you need? Will K says, damn it, go to bed, EVS. Hey, Will K, I've been to bed. It's the morning, my friend. I'm already awake. I went to bed at an early hour last night. That's why I didn't stream. So in any case, as I was discussing this story, I came across a guy named CW Cooke. And CW Cooke, I guess he's a comics writer. He's a comics journalist and a comics writer. Currently, if I were to click on his thing, I would see that he has blocked me. Look at him. I don't know what it is with soy boys, but this is the whole thing here. What is it with you and some like plush animal or a pet or something like this? This is all like, I'm innocent. I wouldn't hurt a fly. Look at me. I'm so cute. I'm ironically like, no, this irony is actual irony. This is kind of like this is a person saying, hey, I would not hurt anyone. That's why I hang out with innocent pets. I love animals. I wouldn't choke you. I wouldn't get you in the back of my VW bug. I wouldn't hurt you because I love animals. I really, truly love animals. So that's the thing. Now I'm blocked from this guy, so I can't necessarily show you, but he had 4 tweets in a row about Jai Nitz. Now, really, if you wanted to virtue signal about Jai Nitz, which I didn't, I mean, I just assume that all these guys are freaks. So I didn't go, oh, Jai Nitz, shame on you. This is disgusting. I just assume people know that I'm not a sexual predator. I just assume it. I don't need to say I am not Jai Nitz. It's manifestly obvious, and I'm a gentleman, and I treat women with respect. Yellow Flash 2 says burn him to the ground. Okay. I'm not going to burn Jai Nitz to the ground. He burned himself to the ground. I'm going to burn other people to the ground. So CW Cooke, this weirdo who, by the way, obsesses over me. Ethan Van Skyver's a Nazi. That is sign number 2. If you call me a Nazi, it's likely you're a pedophile and a killer. Okay, that's clue number 2. If you're going on and on about Ethan Van Skyver is a Nazi, it's probable that you touch little children. I'd just like to put that out there. It's likely. That's kind of another little invisibility cloak that you might use to disguise who you really are. CW Cooke is that guy, but he's also a guy who did 4 super aggressive fuck Jai Nitz. I hate this piece of shit tweets in a row. Excuse my language this morning, but this is absolutely necessary. Now, one tweet that says fuck Jai Nitz, he's a piece of shit, is maybe half too many. You don't really need to do that. You don't have to do that. You could say I'm shocked and saddened by the news that one of my colleagues apparently is somebody who cannot be trusted around women. I wish we could all learn from this and sort of treat women with some semblance of respect when we try to date them in order to penetrate them. That would be nice. I mean, that's all you really need to do. But this guy went off for 4 tweets, 4 entire tweets, like over the top hysteria. And I said at the time, I said, keep an eye on this mofo. I said, keep an eye on him. Anyone with this kind of energy about one of his peers, anyone with this kind of energy is mentally ill at the very least and hiding something much more sinister on top of that. So of course I'm right. I've been right about everything except Kathleen Kennedy getting fired. And by the way, Kathleen Kennedy probably was going to get fired and they just rehired her just to spite me. And it's not because of, that's not my narcissism speaking. Hold on, let me get some boomer juice. No more pixie sticks. I'm not doing that. So this morning, Donald DeLay hits me with this. Oh, look, another vocal SJW comic creator discovered to be a slimy predator at CW Cooke Comics. It's like there's a pattern. Donald, you have already identified, the way to identify these guys. You can pull these guys out of the crowd just by their behavior. And I pointed this guy out. Like I said a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, anyone who has this kind of energy is someone who, ladies, you should be looking at. He's trying to let you know guilt screams the loudest, I think. Innocence speaks in a whisper. Innocence is a human sunbeam. Okay, so let's click on this here. Uh, this is what happens, dude. I love SJWs now. You can count on them to do this. You can absolutely count on them to write an essay like this. And look at it. By the way, this looks like a report. This looks like a business report. This looks like, oh my God, this is why we have gone bankrupt. This is incredible. How would you like to wake up to this analysis of you being a disgusting monster? How would you like that? CW Cooke and the problems of performative allyship. Just like we said, from safety pins to pride flags. Allies have pride flags. Who would do a thing like that? Who would pretend? Who would pretend to be a supporter of pride by putting pride flags all over the rainbow flags all over their tweets? That's very suspicious. It's all pretty well intentioned. Why not mark yourself as safe in case of an emergency? But problems arise when the icons are misused by those who are not only unhelpful, but who may actively do harm. It's become so prevalent that members of marginalized groups are wary of someone who supports too loudly. This is exactly what I said, especially online, where it's even more difficult to judge someone's motivations. This is fan-effing-tastic. Hallelujah. The concerns aren't unfounded. Many times it doesn't take much digging to uncover skeletons in the closet. Oh my God, dig up those skeletons for these weirdos. I'm right here with you. I'm munching popcorn, metaphysically. On another plane, I'm munching popcorn. And there's a fine line between true altruism and self-service with marginalized people as props. You may have heard it called white knighting. Yes, we have. We have heard it called white knighting. Comic book creators who are active on social media may be familiar with a writer named CW Cooke. Well, if you aren't, I'm going to make sure that you are right now. He is ubiquitous in comment sections, either showering creators with compliments or lamenting the books he isn't on. There are spectacle posts about fleeting interactions with colleagues to let everyone know how many people he knows. He speaks boldly about social issues, like the industry's outing of serial abusers Eric Esquivel and Jai Nitz. That last example could be constructive. The industry needs voices of all types condemning that kind of behavior, but CW's approach is to call them sacks of shit and threaten violence and ignore the victims. At best, it's annoying. More critically, it's self-serving activism. CW has the habit of tagging victims and abusers, former collaborators in his posts, and arguments with naysayers, which needlessly re-exposes them to their trauma over and over again. It's not uncommon to see him tag dozens of creators in the comment sections of his buzzworthy posts in an attempt to boost traffic on them. CW is not the first person to pull something like this, but the example below is particularly brazen, where he drags Esquivel's victim and former collaborators into an argument they didn't even start. And here's CW Cooke's post. Why can't I blow this up? Can I do it? Let's make this a little bit more easy to read. Again, Ramon Villalobos and Tamara Bonvillain can better explain why they quit the book that Eric was writing. Ask them. Ask 10 times the tiger what happened to her. So 10 times the tiger, I guess, is the victim of Eric Esquivel, who was writing a book that I guess Ramon Villalobos, who was a dude who basically spends all of his time on Twitter, not drawing at all. And Tamara Bonvillain, trans colorist, anti-Comicsgate lunatic. Both of these two people, super far left SJWs, got caught up working with Eric Esquivel. Both of them, by the way, knew that Eric Esquivel was a sexual predator, didn't do anything about it until he was already caught and exposed and already the subject of media attention and scrutiny. Here's CW Cooke, I would say, crowing over them, saying, hey, you guys. Now, the theory here is that Ramon and Tamara are victims. I disagree. I think they would be not collaborators. I think they would be, what would you say? Enablers. I think they enabled him by putting him in positions of work where they would work with him, collaborate with him to do a comic book where he could go to comic book conventions to promote that work and perhaps offend again. And yes, I do think that you collaborated. I do think that, you did enable this predator, you two. And by the way, Ramon Villalobos, if you weren't so busy collaborating with and promoting predators, sexual predators, maybe Jim Lee wouldn't have to apologize and Warren Ellis could get his book out that you're supposed to be drawing. but that's just me. I'm no Speedy Gonzalez myself when it comes to drawing comics. I'm just saying. All right, so 10 Times a Tiger, I think, is the victim of of Eric Escobar. There are no heroes here at all. This is hilarious. All of these people are horrible. So CW Cooke is actually trying to, draw the victim of sexual abuse into a conflict with two of the people who I would say enabled 10 Times the Tiger's, abuser. I think that's pretty ugly. I think that's pretty self-aggrandizing behavior. An ally does not request victims explain their trauma and take questions on command. An ally does not expose victims to people who just think they're overreacting. An ally allows peace, privacy, and resources to process the horrible things they've experienced, which is exactly what I do every day. All I do is allow peace, privacy, and the resources that victims of SJWs need to process the horrible things that they've experienced. That is what this channel is. That is what Comicsgate does. And hallelujah. I'm so glad that you guys are a part of that peacemaking process. Let's see. We got some people in here now. People are coming in here this morning. 786 people here to be entertained by these piranhas devouring each other. So it says, when it comes to being an ally online, there's a fine line between support and exploitation. Thankfully, there are thousands of articles written by members of marginalized groups with advice on how to behave respectfully. Some of it's quite nebulous, like making sure that you're doing things for the right reasons. And that takes a degree of self-awareness that no listicle can provide. Without that self-awareness, it can be easy to, for example, take advantage of others' vulnerabilities to feel needed. That's nothing we would do here, nothing at all. For two professionals, CW inserted himself foremost as a safe space against their trauma. I don't know what it is, but there are guys like this who go, oh, you're a victim? I'm here to help you. Now, send me nudes. Which is kind of where this fellow seems to be going. As soon as they broke news against their abusers, the first had connected with them on Facebook prior to that, but the initial message he sent them was in regard to their post about a now ousted industry pro who had sexually harassed them. Here's CW Cooke sending messages, and he says to someone, it's none of my business, I know, but I know a lot of people in comics and try my absolute best not to associate with shitbag people. In fact, I do everything in my power to keep those people from getting gigs or money from others I know. You don't have to tell me, but just know that it disgusts me when those fucks get work. By the way, this could be Mark Wade. We've seen Mark Wade's private messages. I've shown them to you. This looks just like the way Mark Wade communicates. It looks just like the way all of these SJWs talk. They all talk like this. It's incredible. It disgusts me when those fucks, he could have said rat fucks, he could have said, rusty chainsaw, get work too. I have a list of people I'll never work with, associate with, or buy from because of the things they've done. I hope all is well. I hope all is well. Oh my God. Besides being sexually harassed, I hope everything's okay. I just want you to know that I have a list of everybody that I hate that I'm never going to buy stuff from. And I just make sure that these people don't get work. I take that upon myself, on my own shoulders. At the time, the victim was too overwhelmed with messages to realize how self-indulgent these were. Every point led back to how CW felt, how influential he was, and how valuable an ally he would be to them. CW inserted himself just as aggressively into another victim's life. After she went public about her abuser, he paid her an inordinate amount of attention and showered her with compliments until she asked him to cool it. While it is important to support victims, especially after a public statement, the focus should always be on their needs, not your sexual needs. Are they okay and provided for? If not, is there anything that you can do to help? And just importantly, if they are okay and provided for, they deserve privacy. When an ally refuses to be forgotten, it may feel like they are exploiting a vulnerable person, CW. When you go through a victim of sexual assault's private pictures, their pictures, and you post this smiley face with hearts and fire, Happy New Year, also smiley face with hearts for eyes. This is not considered to be support necessarily. This seems to be close to reoffending vulnerable victims of sexual abuse, you weirdo. You do the same thing here. Look at this, a whole other person. Oh, wow. CW Cooke apparently likes what he sees. He likes it. Love this. Apparently it's me. Looking wonderful. This was not an isolated incident, nor did the severity stop here. Another cartoonist who hadn't encouraged flirty behavior was subject to the same pattern. Imagine that. Imagine that. Another professional was teased for photos of her breasts from CW Cooke. Although she was vocally dismissive, he returned with the same joke. He's only got one joke on another picture. Here you go. Lower. So here's a picture of a girl. Okay, this is a victim. And she is showing a picture of her face. And he wants the camera to go lower, winky face. And then she says, but then you can't see my beautiful hair. He says, your hair does look awesome, hon. Hun. Was she German? Why is he calling her Hun? Then over here, had a series of bedhead today. So another picture of this girl's hair. He says, what you wearing? Winky face. She goes, it was my nightgown. Because you can't see it. It's just her face. And then heart. He goes, dang, I should have said lower. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, let me see your boobies. Okay. And for one creator who was in the hospital following a violent incident, CW took the opportunity to call her fucking adorable and a mega babe while she was in the hospital following her violent incident. You're so fucking adorable. Mega babe. These are pictures of a woman in her hospital bed. Okay, probably with bruises on her face. You're so you look good with the bruises on your face. You're mega babe. Fucking adorable. It's important to know that look at this fucking adorable twice. It's important to know that this was often CW's default behavior. It was not something worked up towards through friendship or courtship. They also were dealt out instantly and so frequently that every recipient came to dread posting photos of themselves. Do not post photos of yourself because CW Cooke, who cares about women and hates victimizers, is going to ask you to lower the camera so that he can see your boobs underneath your hospital gown. Okay, so that's one thing that you probably should be wary of. You know, if CW Cooke can see your posts, can see your photographs, maybe there's a picture of you with your mom and it's just the headshot. CW Cooke is going to want you to lower that camera down so he can kind of get a nice panoramic shot of all four boobs, your mom's and yours. One professional admitted she had a bet with a friend to see how fast CW would like the selfie they posted together and clocked it in at 15 seconds. Of course, CW is aware of his flirtiness, as evidenced in this conversation with a friend. His tactic is to go for it and persevere until the subject is so uncomfortable they force him to stop. It is inappropriate in a physical space. It's also inappropriate in a digital one. He says, I'll try to ignore today and juicy hope nothing ever comes up. I went and I read the messages that could be construed badly, and it was all flirting back and forth. And then they said they were uncomfortable. By the way, this is a guy who probably would make fun of Donald Trump's Kofefi or whatever that was tweet. And look at the way he spells uncomfortable. Where uncomfortable. So I stopped. My hope is it's over. Okay. So for what it's worth, that isn't true. Many of them were not flirting back. Apparently, nobody's flirting back with CW Cooke. He's just flirting for it. Kofefi, thank you. Kofefi. Kofefi. But look, on wait, let me pronounce this. On Kofom Rotavel. Okay? That's the long way around the word uncomfortable. All right, so this speaks to a larger issue of the way our culture has set up sexual boundaries across gender lines. A lot of the comic industry has wised up, instead valuing clear and enthusiastic consent from both parties at every turn. Yes, I do want to have sex with you. Of course I do. This is a core tenet of progressive thinking and extends to other areas in life. It is particularly helpful to the large community of autistic and other neuroatypical people in comics who have a hard time reading nuanced social cues. Absolutely true. CW violated this core value by acting on impulse. And whether it was intended or not, the way he positioned himself as an influencer made it scary to say no. So what he would say was, I know everybody in comics. I'm CW Cooke. I know everybody in comics. And I don't like shitbags. I make sure that they don't get work. Now, show me your boobs. You want to work in comics? Lower that camera. Show me your boobs. And that is exactly what CW Cooke is being accused of here, which I think, well, I mean, allegedly, in my opinion, according to what I'm reading here, seems like a valid complaint. In early August, an artist made a vague Facebook post lamenting how exhausted they were, with a friend who'd received numerous talks about inappropriate allyship, but hadn't made any steps to change. It was part of a sentiment that you don't have to keep friends around who don't listen to you. I totally agree with that. People who don't listen to me are dead to me. Soon their DMs were full of colleagues asking if the person was CW Cooke. Upon communing, former acquaintances of CW realized a disturbing pattern of inserting oneself into people's lives during delicate times, lying about his relationships with professionals, and flirting without consent. What followed was a mass of professionals disconnecting with CW. Oh no, CW. Oh no. Low Res Boy says CW stands for creepy weirdo. That's interesting. That's interesting. In desperation, CW reached out to a former victim of a high-profile abuser who tried to calm him down over the phone. Immediately after that call, he texted another colleague to spin the story about something about his stance on Jai Nitz, which none of the victims had even suggested. See, people like him need Jai Nitz. People like him need Jai Nitz in order to, artificially contrast themselves with him. Okay, so that he can say, yeah, but that Jai Nitz is a monster. Ignore what I'm doing. CW continued attempting contact with colleagues under the assumption it was about Jai Nitz. Despite being told by many colleagues and close friends not to reach out to anyone for a couple weeks or months, he sent wave after wave of empty, clueless apologies. A couple days later, after having blocked a friend, CW sent them such an apology to address none of the behavior that the friend had spoken about and received apologies for many times before. Saul for X-Men says Cooke locked his Twitter. I only do this because this guy came after me like a lunatic. I don't know this dude, but he came after me crazy, calling me a Nazi. So fuck him. We're going to enjoy this. I had quite a few people block me this week because of my posts, and I'm sorry if I ever made you feel uncomfortable or hurt you with those posts or with anything I've ever said or done. I will do whatever it takes for your forgiveness and to keep showing you that I'm working on bettering me in every way I can. Hope all is well with you. Now here it goes. The harassment didn't stop. You would think that it would stop, but it doesn't stop. It didn't stop. Even after family and friends told him to stop, CW continued calling, texting, emailing, and direct messaging these victims for information on why everyone was blocking him. If he was blocked on one platform, he'd move on to email. If they didn't respond, he'd text. Victims were worried that if CW got a hold of the specifics, he'd use it to spin the story for his benefit before a public statement was made. And his public statements are vicious. If it wasn't for CW, it was his friends asking for him. Okay, so if it wasn't CW, it was his friends. He actually utilized his friends to further harass and abuse the people who were hiding from him, who didn't want to show him their boobs. This is terrible. He began contacting victim spouses. Copy-pasted DMs were sent out by a collaborator under the guise of needing a writer reference. Victims couldn't get away even by blocking him. This continued for a week. The worries about sharing information came from those who tried to address CW in the past. CW was repeatedly approached about his anger, but would retaliate with public posts rallying that he wears his heart on his sleeve. Oh my God, he wears his heart on what? He was addressed about his sexual harassment, but called it, quote, being a flirt. It's just being a flirt. Harmful behavior was minimized in public to garner praise from colleagues. Being emotionally violated. It's his own brand of hurt. CW contributed to a climate where many professionals were wary to post the essential life updates and humanizing interactions that help them garner an internet following. He inserted himself into vulnerabilities, asserted his presence as an ally, and was unwilling to let up even when addressed multiple times. He would be the first to like, love, comment, and DM on an obsessive level, especially regarding personal photos. And for many of these professionals, their digital lives were treated like it's the CW show. Even after blocking, CW continues to violate boundaries by contacting through other platforms and family members. This is the important part, and this is what I want to drive home. Victims deserve dignity and respect. When you find yourself manipulating someone else's bad time into more comments, follows, and attentions to your page, it may be time to take a step back and reevaluate your priorities, unless it's me manipulating his bad time in order to entertain you guys on a Saturday morning. Fuck this dude. All screenshots, accounts herein apparently have been used with the full consent of their owners. That's great. And that is absolutely fantastic. Hooray, everyone. Hooray. So we go backwards here. I love this. I told you this was true. Absolutely promised you that this was the case. Let me stop sharing for a second and then reorganize because we're going to go on. This is just the beginning. This is absolutely just the beginning. There is much more connected to this, and boy, is it fun. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Platinum Robo says, EVS, somebody's going to get it. Shigetsu says, the comic industry and Disney Lucasfilm make up half of Ethan's audience. At least, at least. Let's see. Everyone said, our Tweeter Trash says, hooray, let's all point and laugh at the clinger. And Joshua Jeffries says, this is some beautiful Saturday morning Schadenfreude. The Germans in my audience like the way I pronounce Schadenfreude. They say I pronounce it wrong, but with my Jersey accent, it sounds sexy to their German ears. That's great. I don't know what it is about the word Schadenfreude, but that is the case. I got a pair of socks here. I'm going to put them on because my feet are cold. Spike and Madness says, holy crap, I've been up all night. Morning, Uncle A. Well, good morning to you. Good morning. Let's see. When can I enjoy Superman and Captain America again? Matt Becker says, good morning, Fatso. Thank you. Appreciate that. And we will proceed. All right. You pronounce everything wrong, says... oh, I missed it already. It says Livens Flame. Magnificent. All right, so let's go on with this whole situation. If you look up Jai Nitz, which I have done on Twitter, you will find more stuff that's going on as more of these predators make themselves known. Let's see. Yeah, I did an article about this douchebag. Good. Here's Tess Fowler. Tess Fowler is another one. Tess Fowler is kind of the leader of this whole situation. She is kind of an SJW queen bee. I read up on the whole Jai Nitz situation tonight. I'm tired. You know what, Tess? Take a nap and shut the fuck up. All right, scrolling down. Comic book perverts ahoy. I think this is my video right here. SJW comic book perverts ahoy. And I think it's still available to be viewed. This is where I first talk about CW Cooke. And even though I don't think you can see his tweets anymore, fortunately, you'll be able to see his tweets about Jai Nitz, there on this video. All right, scrolling down. Where did I put it? Hold on a second. I'm going to back out again, and I'm going to see if I can find exactly what it is that I'm looking for before I share my screen. Very professional around here. God, there's such a ton. There is a ton of Jai Nitz stuff here. I love it. I absolutely love it. And because of this, other people, oh my goodness. Hold on a second. Ron Mars goes, I consider Jai Nitz a stain who needs to be removed from this industry and any other. That's nice, Ron. Who cares what you think? Let's see. You destroyed Green Lantern. I had to fix it. Oh, and another one. Ron Mars, two tweets about Jai Nitz. There are no fires in hell hot enough for Jai Nitz. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Oh my God. It just gets better and better. Why do I like this? Is it because is it my confirmation bias? Is it that, I like being proven right? I am usually right. And I do enjoy being proven right. I find it hilarious that John Layman is out here wringing his hands over thinking Jai Nitz's sleaziness was harmless when Layman himself is a noted creep and a stalker. And of course, John Layman is one of the guys who came out and said, I knew Jai Nitz personally. I knew Jai Nitz really well. I'm really shocked at all this information. He's a monster. This is disgusting. All right. Well, very good. John Layman is also somebody who has had an article written about him. All of these guys, everyone who goes out of their way to talk about this and to try to separate themselves from this kind of behavior is just as bad. They're just as guilty of it. What is this, John Layman? What is this about you and trans women? Oh, no, John Layman. Oh, no, John Layman. Are trans women being bothered by John Layman? Oh, this is terrible news. I'm writing this essay because I feel disgusted and betrayed. My name is Rachel Stevens, and I'm a trans woman. I live my life in fear because of it, and I have a devil of a time finding fictional works that to take in that aren't actively hateful towards people like me. Unfortunately, I have to remove Chew from the list of comics that I can read and enjoy without being actively insulted. John Layman. This is terrible. Starting at the top, John Layman and Rob Guillory's Chew is a generally wonderful indie book published by Image Comics. It's about an Asian American detective named Tony Chu who's made... God, this book is stupid. Chicken is illegal. Chicken is like alcohol. It's illegal. You have to go find chicken in speakeasies. They're called greaseasies. And you can get chicken there. All right, let's see. So I don't know what this is. I guess this is just John Layman making fun of trans people. Oh my goodness. I hate that even though Chew is racially diverse, even though there are competent women portrayed throughout the series, even though one of the main cast is bisexual and not a stereotype, the only transgender people are caricatures. Oh no. And there aren't any trans men in the series, at least as far as I've read. Perhaps the series improves past that to that point, and the creative team makes up for their past offenses. Until that happens, however, I'm done. Well, you've got one trans man involved with this book. That's John Layman. He used to be a toad, and now he is dressed up as a human being. So this is terrible. Of course, everyone involved with Jai Nitz, everyone who's coming out against him. What is this? The League of Sexual Abusers. Male feminists outed as sexual abusers. Magnificent. I'll bet one of these guys doesn't belong here. Did Andy Signori get recently redeemed? I think Andy Signori is redeemed. I think that was proven to be not true. But look at all these other guys. Look at all these concerned Fro Jared. You couldn't get a better picture of Fro Jared. Good Lord, that is spooky. All right, so there's one more that I want to talk about associated with this whole thing, and I think I posted about him. Let's see here. I probably posted about him on my own page. So let me see. Profile. I'm merciless about this. I'm absolutely merciless about this guy here. This is Micah Myers. Micah Letters Comics. I said, I love this. Another SJW piece of human refuse who, after receiving work and help, turned on Peter Samiti viciously, now turns on one of his closest friends after his peers seek to destroy him. CW Cooke is Phil, sure, but Micah, fuck you too. This is Micah Myers. By the way, I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, look, of course I'm black. Bearded egg. Every single time, guys. Every single time I'm correct. This is Soy Boy number 2, I think. The first one is Will Wheaton clone. That is the most common. The second one is Bearded Egg, and I think this is pretty much prototypical Bearded Egg. And then the third one, of course, is Caveman Librarian. That's something that your boy Zach kind of cooked up. Micah Myers was a letterer. Peter Samiti gave him some work. You guys are agreeing in the chat. Bearded Egg, yes. Peter Samiti gave him some work. I mean, you know, he was lettering Alterna books. And the minute that Peter Samiti said, look, we don't believe here at Alterna in mass blocking anyone. That's just not what we do. This idiot, this asshole, turned on Peter Samiti, called him names, and then started deciding that maybe he could bump his career up a little bit by becoming an anti-Comicsgate activist. So that is who Micah Myers is. He produced a pin that said, Comicsgate is the hate group. It's the hate group. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's helped his career. I always wonder if these guys who kind of go like hard in the paint against Comicsgate, if it actually helps their career or not. I'm guessing not. You know, I'm guessing actually probably not. So we'll go backwards. And it's just like sad to have to post this. CW was one of my closest friends. I applaud all the people who shared their story about what had happened. I hope this can lead to a better future for them all. You know, I have to say, if CW was one of your closest friends, you didn't really have to post this, right? You didn't really have to tweet this out. You could have just been the person who didn't tweet this out. You could have quietly maybe kind of cut CW out of your life. I recommend that. But did you have to tweet this out? Did you have to make it be part of the problem? Did you have to be part of his pain? And I'm not saying this guy doesn't deserve pain. He does. But I'm just saying, like when you're an SJW, when you're an actual SJW, it is entirely about you. Everything is about you and how you can benefit from what it is that you post on social media. If you can throw people under the car, under the, what would you call it, under the bus? If you can throw people under the bus and it benefits you and makes you look better to other SJWs, makes you look more virtuous, you're going to absolutely do it. You're going to sell out your closest friends, and then you're going to applaud all the people who also sold out your closest friend. It's impossible for you as an SJW to just keep your mouth closed. That's impossible. Like that's a virtue these people don't have. Like bros before hoes doesn't exist to SJWs. They don't understand that. They do not understand loyalty. They don't understand any of that. They don't understand how you could just not comment on something. They all think they're on TV at all times. They're not. I am. But they all think that they're on TV at all times doing a show, and their comments are desperately needed about everything, including the, immolation of their closest friends. And by the way, I mean, CW Cooke, you look at this and you go, yeah, the dude's kind of a spooky, creepity creep. There's no evidence that he raped anyone. There's no evidence that he actually physically violated or hurt anyone. He's just kind of a dickhead. He's just kind of, getting in the way and abusing his power that he announces that he has by asking women to show him their boobs on the internet. And that's awful. That is absolutely awful. But does this mean that all of his friends need to sell him out and be the first ones to do it? Why? Why do they do that? They do that because they're just as bad. And when you see this happen, get ready for news about this dude as well. All of this energy exists to hide something. All of this energy exists to disguise the facts, to disguise skeletons in the closet. That's what all of this energy is for. Now, Micah Myers, I'm expecting to hear about you. This is the thing. By the way, announcing this puts a target on you. Doing this, 3 or 4 women are going to come forward about you, my friend. Duck. This doesn't work. Announcing that you are virtuous and that you will sell out your friends at the drop of a hat to other SJWs just does not work. It doesn't work. So in conclusion, I would like to say, call these guys. But boy, is it funny. I mean, CW Cooke. This is, and by the way, I should button up my entire shirt. I just threw I'm wearing like a wife beater, I would say, even though I don't beat my wife, or at least I've stopped beating my wife. And I was like, oh, I can't go online like that. So I just threw on a shirt real quick. And I only buttoned these buttons because I was like, those are the only buttons you're going to see. And then boom, like I lean back and you can see that I was too lazy. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. I'm going to read some super chats and everything. And then I got to go out and get some ice for the party today. Igor Bondar says, Dutch Tony Soprano. I am not Tony Soprano. All right, hang on. I wish I was Tony Soprano. God, that would be cool. How come I can't find what I need when I need it ever? Every single time, it's a living hell. Okay, all right. Reading super chats, opening a new window. Oh, we actually have some. I'm impressed. Good morning, Ethan, says Micah D2. And Jan Barry joined the channel. Thank you guys for joining the channel. I appreciate that. I love it. I want to have more members to my channel than anyone else does. That's my goal. Charlie's London says, at football, wish Arsenal Football Club good luck. Good luck, Arsenal Football Club. Yellow Flash 2 says, burn him to the ground. The Yellow Flash, these guys burn themselves to the ground. I'm just going to get the information out there. You can go ahead and make a video yourself. But these guys that's what they do. I mean, social media is the best and the worst thing for these people. Daddy Duder Pops Culture says, check out Nin Nin Ninny, now on Indiegogo. Amateur Ant says, shut up and show me your breasts. LOL, just kidding. Here they are. Saul for X-Men says, Cook locked his Twitter. White Wolf says, good morning, Uncle E. Hope you're well. 2 questions. Will you do a trad cape style superhero again? And when will you have Razor Fist on again? Well, I would love to have Razor Fist on again. Last time he was on, we had a great big fight about Michael Jackson. And he has all this, like, he thinks the Michael Jackson thing is a great big conspiracy theory. He's got all kinds of evidence about it. People really enjoyed him. I disagreed with him, but I wanted him to talk. I'd have him on absolutely any time. I'm a big fan of his. Will I do a trad cape style superhero again? Yeah, kind of. We want to do this thing called Mean Streak about a speedster. And that would be fun. That would be kind of traditional. But I'm really kind of in love with Cyberfrog right now. I'm happy to do Cyberfrog. Rocket Insano says, why are these people so weak? How hard is it to respond to a creeper? And why won't they just destroy weirdos like this on Twitter? I don't know. I don't know. But you can rely on them to always be the same. When you see guys go out of their way, like you see Ron Mars right now going out of his way to be like, fuck this dude should go to hell. These guys, just keep your eye on them. That's all I'm saying. Captain Tarple says the common denominator in all of this is soy. McPepper Games says, former comic artist working on indie games. Please, Comicsgate, support my indie project Color Defense on Android and iOS. It's free. So it's called Color Defense. Go check that out, guys. Daddy Duder Pops Culture says, hey, Uncle E, thanks for setting the world right again. Can you give a shout out to my Indiegogo comic, Nin Nin Ninny? Thanks. Is it called Nin Nin Ninny? Am I pronouncing that right? That's a great name. Jason Smoot, wow, thanks for $20. Says, heard Gore the God Butcher is the villain, is Love and Thunder. Sounds like a porno. For the love of God, tell me this isn't true. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea. I got to follow that story a little bit closer, I guess. White Wolf says Rainbow Brute should be a dwarven king. Dwarves are better than elf. Well, he's actually a fairy, but he does look like a dwarf. I mean, he's modeled after. He's absolutely modeled after the Tolkien dwarves. So that is, absolutely the case. And people who draw Rainbow Brute, like I'm getting fan art, and the fan art has Rainbow Brute like a barbarian, like a really serious big guy. Don't draw him like that. Make him like a little hockey puck. He's a little dwarf. And that's what you got to do. I mean, just make him little. And I do want to see more fan art. I guess I'm going to start to see a lot more fan art when the campaign goes live. That's going to be, that's going to be soon. Checkpoint says dwarves have axes. Yeah. I think Rainbow Brute has everything though. He also has a bow and arrow, of course, because he's Rainbow. He's got a sword. I could give him an axe. He's got all kinds of weapons. He's kick ass. Igor Bondar says he's also Kyle Ritter. Yeah, most certainly. Joshua Jeffrey says, how can we send fan art? Just send it to me on Twitter. I'll retweet it. Every time you guys send me fan art of my own characters, I retweet it every single time. And I'm always very happy to see it. And this just kind of goes along with my idea of making a website where artists, like amateur artists, can meet up. Like because we see a lot of like amazing fan art from guys who are just like, yeah, I'm not really doing a comic. I mean, I guess like if you guys wanted to do a comic or collaborate with a writer, some of you artists, I could, a website, the kind of which I'm envisioning, could absolutely play kind of the match game, the dating game, kind of dating game situation for creative people. Captain Picard says, I can make that website. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you could team up with Pixel Trader. The both of you could make that website. It would be it'd be very, very valuable for people. Slim Jim Pui says, hook us up, EVS. People Circus says, will it be porn, EVS? No, it will not be porn. If what you're expecting from me is pornography, you are going to be very disappointed. I'm not going to do porn or produce or promote porn. Red Monarch says, good morning, Uncle E. Good morning to you. Adrian Stone is here. Adrian, I'm excited about my new OBS presentation. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later today. Today is going to be a very, very busy day. Low Res Boy says the website is a great idea. I think so too. All right. So with that having been said, I hope you enjoyed the show. Yeah, guys, these soy boys, these SJWs, be aware of them. Those of you who are not soy boys, recognize that soy boys are a threat to women. And don't do their stuff. Don't white knight, but just keep your eye on them. You know what I mean? I need you to be the Chad at the club who watches out for these weirdos. And if they're bothering women, you punch them in the face. You don't do it just to help women. You don't do it just because, you're trying to white knight for ladies. You just got to keep these guys in line because they all end up being sex pests. Just keep your eye on them for the sake of our women, our beautiful women. And ladies, I got to tell you, if he's advocating for social justice, he's a creep. 100% of the time. Every single time. The louder he is about it, the creepier he is. So ladies, keep your eye on that. Gentlemen, keep your eye on them. And have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, you guys. I'll probably be on later tonight, and I'll do another live stream because I want to talk about basic news. There's some Star Wars news. There's some Katy Perry news. Katy Perry is being accused of Me Too, #MeToo stuff for men and women. She's another predator, and a couple of other things. All right, everyone. Love you. Have a great day. Bye.